Greatest motorsport on earth? Introducing Full Pull Live, your front row seat to all the action. Don't miss our next NTPA national event, the Fort Recovery Grand Nationals, July 26th and 27th from Fort Recovery, Ohio. Sign up at the brand new low price of $39.99 a month. Full Pull Live, the greatest motorsport on earth, streams here.
Hey folks, welcome. This is the weigh-in preview show for Fort Recovery. And look, how many sheets do we got to go? We got, not only that, we've got two shows we got to go over tonight, right, PK?
Yeah, two locations, multiple classes. I saw 12 sheets and my printer's still shooting them out right now as we ran in the house to get all this on air. So I'll ride the struggle bus for a little bit, but I'm hoping we can get a full pull out of this. We got about 45 minutes. There's a show that follows us that everybody can look forward to and stay tuned in or listen in, put your ear pods in and walk away with the show. But Bert, what's the weather like down where you're at?
It is hot, humid, and raining. It's we've had about 3.5 inches of rain in the past 4 days. So it's kind of wet. My grass needs to be cut, but that's okay because guess where I'm going tomorrow? That's Fort Recovery, Ohio. A big show happening there. I'm excited. My first time ever going to Fort Recovery, so I'm looking forward to that. I heard the elephant ears were good there. So
elephant ears, that's your go-to. So let's go with Fort Recovery. And we had lists sent to us. I'm using my cell phone, so I'll be a little bit handicapped because they're too small in the little lines to see. But the first class up, let me look. Is it Superstock Diesel or is it the Superstock Open? Do you recall?
There we go. Superstock Diesel.
Superstock Diesel. How about that? So as we saw a little bit of oh, look at that. Marky Bradish out of Roughdale, PA. He's got his stuff back together in the M80. But looks like first hook, Matt Goodwin in the Intimidator. Edson Lane, who had a little bit of a hiccup last week in Chapel Hill on the first hook, but turned out and ran out great in that second session. And Redline Fever is going to hook fourth. And then Kent Payne, same issue, had a little bit of a hiccup in the first hook at Chapel Hill, but came back and made a great run coming back. He's going to come off the line fifth. And then, the old reliable Colin Ross, that triple bypass, my goodness. I can't wait to see the odds on these on full pull bets. Like, did you go over there and look at that side yet, Bert?
I haven't got there yet, but I'm kind of curious because if you look at this class, it can be anybody's. I mean, you're looking at Kent Payne, you're looking at Colin Ross. You definitely can't cut out Steve Burge. I mean,
exactly.
I mean, this class right here is going to be massive this weekend.
And then Brandon Hunt, first time I had seen him out was last weekend. He had a non-stellar run the first hook, but had a really nice hook the second session in Chapel Hill. I expect big things from him once he gets a little bit of the kinks worked out. He's just a guy, consummate professional. You can always find that they're going to run it on the hilt. Who do you think will end up with the best odds for our full pull bets?
I'm going to go with Edson Lane. I'm going to go with Edson Lane on this one. That's just my personal opinion. He's got tons of experience with this track. He's always a consistent runner. I think this is going to be his setup here.
So I've never been to Fort Recovery, Ohio, that event. Will it be your first time, Bert, up there as well?
This will be my first time, but a bunch of the pullers down here have gone up there, and they talk like this track is just sticky. It is just like they talk like you can walk out with your tennis shoes on, and your feet are literally sticking to the track. So whatever concoction they use to spray on that track, it works.
So it's a bit like the old school drag race VP top coat treatment on the starting line where it pulls your shoes off the bottom of your feet. Well, that's exciting to hear. I think, the odds are going to be probably even on Colin Ross, but to be able to, put real money down and make real money, I think you almost want to pick someone with lesser odds. You know what I mean? Like someone who's 14-1 in a 10-1 range. You can, your money payoff is so much better in those. Even money's even money. What are you really doing? He's favorite. So I look forward to seeing that class. And we talked to Travis a little bit last week. Travis joined us in the booth. They'll attempt to do a few more things like that with you guys out in Fort Recovery this week. But Yeah, that's your super stock diesel class. That's the lineup for session 1. And then what's flowing up next there, guys? Super stock open. So this is not the pulling order for the classes. That'll be decided just before getting on site or on site. This is the hook order. I guess, how could I say that better, Bert? Clarify that for them.
This is just the class lineup, basically what vehicles are going to be there. And so right now, these are the ones that are registered in place. And like we talked about earlier in the season, these are all pre-registered vehicles that are planning to be at that show in Fort Recovery.
Gotcha. So start us off with this class, the Super Stock Opens. Oh, right away, there's a light super at the beginning.
Yeah, Mark Gettinger on Digger's Deer. Brett Backus.
Yep.
I hope I'm saying that right. Out of Time. John Strickland on Galat 2. That tractor, they had a double win the other week. That's going to be one to watch. Jeff Hotham on Fully Loaded. Barry Elker on the Buckeye Bandit. Derek Barja on the Original Judge. It's good to see that tractor back because that tractor had a bad night at Galat Motorsports Park. Cody Cheezick on Considered Armed and Dangerous HD. Robert Gansmer.
Yeah.
Yep. On Rutting Deer. Aaron Hull on Taking Care of Business. Zane, hope I'm saying this right. Delhi. On Red Deer. Bill Gettinger on Lessons Learned, and Josh Blackbird on Extremely Armed and Dangerous. What's your pick on this one, PK?
Oh my gosh. I think Josh has blood in the water. I think he is ready to run. And being a late hook, when we look at how they're going to stack this class, I feel like if you're talking about a sticky track, that track's only going to come together better. So I'm going to go with a late hook, right? It's an evening pull, late hook. Track's going to come together. It's not going to fall apart like an afternoon hook. I think the guy's late in the class. And the low-hanging fruit to me is Josh Blackburn in the Extremely Armed and Dangerous.
I'm going to go with that one, but I'm not going to cut out. I'm really not going to cut out John Strickland on this. I think he's got some momentum going after double wins. I mean, you can't. Once that momentum starts, if you can keep that going, that's going to definitely benefit you.
Right. Because you start looking at like what have they done that's putting them there at the front row and putting them at the podium.
Right.
And I agree with you. I think it's going to be awesome to see what Derek Barja driving the Original Judge. He had that detrimental
We call that a Waffle House down here. It was scattered, smothered, and covered.
Yeah, he had a big incident down there in the Carolinas. I'm excited to see what they put back together to put in that tractor. Derek and I spoke and had lunch together down there in the Carolinas prior to the incident, and I think they were excited about the season and what they had in store for the rest of the season. So I hope they have I hope they got the chamber loaded. I think I'm excited to see them back out there. Some of those can be detrimental to a season.
Oh yeah, I mean the way parts are now. I mean, right now we have a super stock down here that is getting new cylinder heads built, having the whole engine redone, and they've been waiting on parts. Trying to get parts machined and everything else. So it was just noted on Armed and Dangerous that Terry was driving the heavy tractors.
Well, I'm going to take the tractor. Maybe it's not about the driver. I'm excited about that tractor being late in the class. All right. What's the next class up after them? So we look at the Super Stock Diesel 4x4s. I think I had a sheet on them. Yeah, I do. I'm paperwork kind of guy. How about y'all at home? Tune in, hit the social medias, let us know. Like literally, they send us this all in emails. I run home and hit the printer. That's how bad I am. Super Stock Diesel. Well, it's Pro Stock, right?
That Super Stock Diesel 4-wheel drive.
Sorry, my printer didn't do well either. My goodness. All right, Super Stock Diesel 4x4. Do you have a choice? Let's just run down through. So in this, Bert, sometimes do you pick towns? Like you want to see someone from a certain town do well?
No, I'm an underdog kind of guy, but I'm also like, who's got the better shot at it? Like whose vehicle works better at that track, So I'm
Yes.
looking at this track, whoever's got the most horsepower and can, obviously control the hook. Because that's the other thing. You got all the horsepower in the world. You get a hook down to the ground, you got to be able to drive it too.
Okay, so let's go from a different perspective before we get into this class. Do you think they could try to unwedge from the track? And I'm taking dirt track scenarios and commentary here. Could they unwedge from the track, overpressure the tires, or underpressure them instead of at that peak point of maximum traction, steal traction from their own vehicle so they're not tied down tight? And
so
you
you're
know what I
saying
mean, and try to gain gear out of it or something.
Right. So in other words, either they're going to have to go really low with the gear, or find a way to spin the snot out of the tires to keep it from hooking so hard.
Right, spin it so that in turn either taking weight off the rear end in their balance and play that game, or they're taking pressures or gaining pressures in their rear end or rear tires, or in this case of this class here, fronts and rears, and how hard they're going to bite. But Craig Dickey's going to lead us off out of River Falls, Wisconsin, in the Cummins Killer. Then Eric Stacy out of Winchester, Ohio, and Smoking Ya. Trent Crowder and Shide Diesel vehicle. Brent Ingram, Crosswired. Nick Gillette and Top Shelf. Carl Butler at One Nation. He's out of Pennsylvania. Sorry, I didn't mean to rub that in. Yeah, I did. Jaden Littman, New Martinsville, West Virginia, something to prove. Calvin Miller, he's out of PA here, running in the red. Cody Hastings, Asheville, Ohio, against the grain. Jeremy Yeager's going to pull up 10th from Bloomington, Ohio, in the Trencher. I'm not very familiar with that vehicle. That might be my pick just because of it. Ryan Funk and the Funkin' Movin'. And I always feel like the Freudian slip is going to catch me one of these days. But luckily, this is the podcast. And if we are a destination viewer, you will take it. Aiden Hodges of LPA on borrowed time. Shane Kellogg in the Trump Mobile. I think what do you think about that one? Come on. I don't even know where to go. He is going to be a fan favorite no matter what.
No doubt.
I feel like he should put one of those. Remember those stickers that came out in like the 90s that were like bullet holes in your windows, right?
Yeah.
You got them at like, you got them at like carnivals or like touristy places in those like tchotchke shops.
Yeah, you can buy them at any local auto parts store.
Yeah, he needs to put one of those little bullet holes on one of his mirrors to emulate the ear.
Oh, not a bad idea.
Just something, right? Little novelty stuff. All right, so let's keep moving though. But hooking up on 14th is Justin Gerhardt, cream of the crop. Keith Witt, the American Pete. My printer isn't great, so I think it says American Price.
Yeah.
Van Hazley and the Rock Hard Ram. Jeff Miffick, and he's in the Triple Alpha Process, the Hades edition, which I really like the idea and the name behind that truck. I like its dark on dark shades of matte colors. And then Jeremy Yeager in the Pipe Dream, then Corey Funk in the Funkin' Groovin'. Two different trucks. One pulling in the 11th position, the other one pulling in the 19th position. I feel like that is a huge advantage when you talk about that sticky track of how somebody or one of them can transfer information to the next vehicle from a team.
I'm gonna go with Funkin' Groovin' on this one. That's just where I'm gonna go. But I tell you, Mike Robinson is following us here tonight. He's saying against the grain. I mean, now I don't know this track very well, so I'm kind of curious. Watch the first session, see how it goes, and then my picks may be a little different the next go round. So
gotcha. So we've got a lot to get through, so we're just going to hammer these out a little bit. The next class up, let's smash that out. The Super Semis. Dun, dun, dun.
All right, Matthew Caitlin first up on Temperamental. Ben Gordon on Letter Rip Tater Chip. I love the name of that one. Brian Elthorpe on Nikki's Nightmare.
Yes.
Chris Jeffries on General Stupidity. That's a good name. That should be a name of a lot of vehicles. RJ Simon on Drivers Wanted. Lonnie Saylor on Holy Smokes.
Yep.
Pat Elin on Just Passing Through the Class. Ryan DeBro on Playing with Fire. Brian Stalker on Super Stalker. Craig Braun on Executioner. Chris Jeffries on The Bad Dog. Who's your pick?
That's a good class. So I really like what RJ's got going on right now. And I think they were looking for more power, not power. They were looking a way to put their traction to the ground in comparison to that, oh man, I just forgot who beat them in Hutchinson. Literally the last hook, or he was second to last hook and drove past the Simons. I think the Simons bring a lot to the table on the winning side, right? Like they're just not afraid to throw it out there. As we saw, if you tuned into the broadcast on Saturday night, he was in line, maybe third or fourth in line, and they rolled it across, did their hitch height, and changed gears in the line. Changed the gearbox, pulled up, swapped in 2 more gears. So when I think going for broke, like they wanted it. Like
they're willing to take that risk. You know, it's either we're going to win it or we're going to really pay for it. We're going to really learn off of it. So,
you know, and we talk a lot like, oh, like I'm not much for, like whenever I come across the scale, I've got an idea, right? And I've got a plan.
Right.
Then I cross the hitches. I got an idea and I got a plan. Then I might, if I'm third or fourth in a class, that gives me just a chance to see what the track's doing, because they normally have us hidden behind the bleachers and there's like a reveal. And then finally you're like, oh, I see what the track is doing. I see what the starting line looks like. And I make changes, like based off my, I'm going to call it my original ideation of my plan. And we talk a lot, like some guys are like, the plan's the plan. They're not going to change it once they cross the scales. And we saw it time and time again. And them guys throwing weights, and not just 2 weights, like throwing weights from front to rear, middle to center, whenever down there in Chapel Hill, because the track conditions were completely different once they got around the end of the grandstands. They didn't show up at the line with the plan they left the hauler in. That didn't happen at all in Chapel Hill.
Well, see, one of the biggest things is, and bring this up a lot, but when the sun goes down, it like say, 8 o'clock, 8:30, the sun is normally off the track. Well, that track's going to start changing, because when the sun's on it, it's drying it out. When the sun goes down, that moisture starts coming up. So in about an hour window, there can be a lot of big changes in how that track reacts.
I think that's a song. When the sun goes down.
Yeah,
all right.
Yeah.
Let's hit into the mini rods. Holy camole.
We got a ton of them.
If I recollect, and I don't need to recollect, I just need to look down at the sheet. 31 minis. And
all right.
I would have never guessed. I would have never guessed, when you start looking at like where our sport's going, the prediction on the quantity of minis is phenomenal. Okay.
All right.
Hit them.
All right. Cody Singletary on the Carolina Night Train. Becky Curtis on Running on Empty. David Cooper on Hammer Time. Brian McDonald on Vibrator. Chris Shoemaker on Mad Money. Randy Fitzmaker on Rolling Dough. Lindsey Campbell on Short Fuse. Renee Theobald on Pretty Wicked. Adam Kester on Footloose. Andy Corporal on Little Heathen. Art Mendez on Scratching for Traction. Kevin Dick on The Cat Sass. CJ Grazik on Pile Driver. Mike Summers on Crazy Horse. Dusty Price on Bacon Bits. Tim Ray on Wicked Sensation. Brian McDonald again on Very Little Sanity. Holt Strickland on Just Ask. Kim Kwame on Weld Old Machine. And Cody Singletary on his second one, Cody Night Train 2.
And then you jump over into the 21st position.
That's going to be Ken Vitti on Funny Little Farmall. Grant Theobald on Little Wicked in the 22nd spot. Kevin Campbell on Wild Card. Adam Kester again on Beast of Burden. Brian Guza on Grandpa's Disaster. Kenneth Boltmeyer on WAE Flipside. Adam Bauer on Iron Toy. Ron Tobin on Walk the Line. Gene Seltner on One Piece at a Time. Troy Arnett on Slingshot. And Bryce Cullen on Doctor's Dirt.
So what I counted was about, I think it was 9 or 10 regionals or some per hooks. So this just tells me that this is a destination pull for some of these guys in this region, like the Ohio and Fort Recovery.
Your Region 2 guys are going to show up to this one, no doubt.
Yeah, like it flies the flag,
and
they're there to protect their territory. You're coming into their fair. their hometowns, their state, and they are there to show you, let's see what you got.
Don't ever cut out the regional guys, because the regional
absolutely
guy,
not.
the
Sometimes
regional guy,
the regional guys aren't great national guys because they don't have the time or schedule to travel. It's not that they couldn't be competitive; it's that they couldn't commit to that schedule.
Yeah, and the biggest thing in that class right there, it can be anybody's ball game. I mean, Adam Kester last weekend, that was just there couldn't be a more perfect win on that one on Friday night. But who's your pick on this one? Because I've got about 2 or 3 I can go with on this. I'm gonna, I'm gonna say Kim Kwame on Weld-O Machine. That's gonna be my pick.
Okay, that's your, and you would suspect odds to be in the 13-1, 14-1. Let it pay good on that full pool picks.
Right.
Real money, real wins. Because you got to pick your top 2 though, right? So let's just grab a second one there. Who would you stack them with?
I'm gonna go back with let's see. Let's go with Grant Theobald. I mean, why not? I mean, he's a solid competitor. He's going to be in there. So,
So I think you're on the right move. I think Grant is salivating. He didn't get what he wanted out of Chapel Hill. He is salivating and going through the checks and balances of wins and not being as competitive as he feels he should be. And that team knows that Tractor can. I agree. I think he's salivating at that opportunity. I think so. I'm going to go with CJ Graysick. One, because the pile driver spun an axle and took a rear end out in Chapel Hill. And he had a less than stellar run the second night. And who knows if it was because the changes and the sharing an axle from one vehicle to the next vehicle and getting it jammed in there. Who knows? But I think he's hungry, right? I think he's hungry for a good performance. And then because I like to stack the deck, I'm a big fan of Brian McDonald, and I think you'll see him soon on our Full Poll, or the Full Poll website. We're going to do a long format sit-down interview with our driver chats. I'm really excited to that. We coordinated that with his daughter, Allison. So I think we're going to get a lot of good insight from him. And so maybe this is my way to butter his muffin to give us more information for the driver chat. But I'm really excited to see him run. He's had he's stacking dimes. So I'm going to go with CJ and Brian. I think they're going to be really competitive. Brian will be. I want CJ to be hungry. Like, I want him to literally not talk to anybody as he's going to the start finish line. I want him to zero in. I want him to think about weight and balance and gear that he chose, his tire cut, his hitch height, his tire choice. Like, I want him zeroed in, and I want him thirsty.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to this. Like I said, this is a different track. Never been there. I think we're going to see a lot of good stuff this weekend.
Absolutely. 31
hooks,
31.
That's a full class. I mean,
and we're simply talking about Fort Recovery, Ohio. And we're at 7:24. So we got about 20 some minutes or so. Give us our next classes.
Kevin, we're going up in Unlimiteds here. Kevin Creswell on Blown Senseless. Joe Etter on Emax. Billy Byers on War Wagon. David Richardson on Foursome. Adam Bauer on Cross Threaded. Les Corporal on Corporal Punishment. Brad Benedict on Nonsense. Doug Theobald on Full Blown Wicked. Joseph Fintak on North American. Ricky Rose on Giddy Up. Mark Cole on The Gambler. Galen Barja on The Judge Next Generation. And Bill Voorhees on American Thunder.
Oh, good class. Sorry, I was scrolling online because that's one my printer didn't work on. So I think that Richardson realizes he had a great opportunity to win a chair in the second session at Chapel Hill, and plausibly line choice. And he says operator error. He says driver error. He drove off so hard because he was hungry for it. That it didn't work out. And we talked about it at the hauler a little bit afterwards. I think he's going to recover. That's where my choice is. I think he's going to recover. I think he's hungry. I think he's frustrated at himself. And maybe, his options he had, I think he's got a challenging piece there.
Who's your second?
I got to be honest. I didn't print, so I didn't pick a second because it came off the screen too quick.
Well, there
Thank
you
you,
go.
guys.
There it is. There it is.
I got to thank Allison and Rogo because they literally hold our hand through all of this. So thank you guys in the background. They're working the backside of all these shows, and these shows take a lot of people to put on, and I want to thank them. But I'm going to go with, oh, I don't see him. Hold on. I'm trying to scroll. Oh, man. Okay. No. I'm changing my mind. See, you can't give me options. I'm going to go Joe Eater off the win, second night. Chapel Hill.
Yeah.
I'm going to go Joe. Stacking dimes. Go ahead. Who do you got?
You know what? I'm going to go with good old Adam Bauer. And you know what? Got to do a turban because I'm a turban guy. I'm going to go with DeBorgia on the Judge Next Generation. Turn that turban up. Let her eat.
The Adam Bauer was set up 2 nights in a row there. He got a big win the first night in Chapel Hill. Didn't put back-to-backs together. The second night still ran well. I mean, no doubt. Like anybody where his finishing order was always be satisfied with it. But as a competitor, you're never satisfied till you're winning rings and winning championships. Yeah, that would have been my second one. If we're 2 picks, highest finishers is what you're after on the full pull picks. Real money down, real money payouts. Hey, did you see $600+ somebody won last week on choosing? Oh man,
I'm gonna have to get into
Ray, and I forgot who their second choice was. I was like totally awesome. I actually my credit account is nil after what have we been doing 4 or 5 weeks?
Yeah.
Because I got real greedy, right? I was like, oh, I'm gonna take someone who has payable odds. I'm not going with a favorite. I'm going with someone with payable odds, so I could
so you can build up a little bit.
The multiplier, exactly.
Right.
All right, what are we on to, guys? That's it.
Oh, there it is, right there.
Yeah, $658. The second place got $329. Like those are awesome payouts. Like look at the American Nightmare. $329. And it's simple as literally loading in. And if you search some of our social media accounts, and I know I'm not supposed to tell everybody the clues, but search some of the social media accounts associated with full pull picks and those around it and those support it.
Right.
And there might be a bonus discount code there to give you a few extra bucks in your credit account.
Yep.
Just saying. What are they going to do? Like, well, Rogo could mute me right now and not but I think Rogo thinks it's funny. I think Allison's like, yeah, go ahead. Why not? More people, the more fun. So let's jump into this.
This is Meade County Fair right here. NTPA.
So we're in the other show. We're split up this weekend. 2 separate shows, multiple different classes. The Meade County Fair. This is still Grand National. They just have a whole nother group of different classes in a different venue. Right, Bert?
Right.
All
so,
right.
Light Super Stocks. First one up, Larry Phillips. Extremely Insane. Y'all know that tractor. Martin Daniel on Over the Edge. Adam Spielberg on Detonator Black. Brandon Phillips on Insanity. Brent Payne on Galot. David Esteb on Eaton Dollars Alki Edition. Colton Whitworth on Yield Express. Terry Blackburn on A&D Excessive Force. Rex Kuhn on Letter Buck. Brian Schrammick on Red. Martin Daniel on the Edge. Brandon Phillips on the 2012 John Deere 7310. Marcus Whittleson on Gunpowder and Lead. Terry Blackburn on Considered Armed and Dangerous. Chris Linville on Ridge Runner. Craig Smith on Whiskey's Fine. And Scott Whitworth on Ben Buster.
So Scott had some challenging luck if we remember back towards Bowling Green, right?
Right.
Oh, I'm sorry. I misspoke.
Toma. Yep.
I mean, he is my pick. I'd put money on it. And somebody could say I'd be wasting money or whatever. I don't care. He is my affectionate pick. He deserves a hug. He deserves.
That was a rough run. You feel bad when you get through a run like that, period.
And not just that run, he had a rough week.
Yeah.
Like bugger. Each class was like, oof, if only he could buy a vowel. I'm gonna drop off Indian head pennies, throw them up into his hauler. I'm gonna burn some sage and leave it sit by the rear tire of the semi truck. Like, he needs to exercise the demons. I'm going with Scott Whitworth because it's just where I'm at.
Well, you know what? I'm going to go with Adam Spielberg on this one, Detonator Black. That's just my shot on it. That's my pick on that one. So,
all right. Copy that. If you had to
Yep.
pick two, remember, full pull picks, picking two.
I don't know. That second one's a little bit different.
Mhm.
Let's go with that one's a tough one. Let's go with Marcus Wendelson on Gunpowder and Lead.
I'm going to go with Insanity, driven by Brandon Phillips, because I feel like that's how my week is going. It's total insanity.
Insanity.
My printer wasn't working. I couldn't get my data uploaded. My iPad just finally loaded the picks. That's been how long? And I showed up at 6:30 to do this show. Okay, so let's roll on. Dun, 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 dun.
Super Farms. Meade County Fair Super Farms. Jason Bensinger.
Bensinger. Yeah.
Bensinger. Okay.
Yeah.
On
Bensinger.
Plastic. Yep. On Plastic Money. Brooke Michael Ferris on Absolutely Nuts. David Whelan on My Last Excuse. Eddie Rowe on Redweiser. Ryan Anderson on Green Galvanized Stairs Checking Out. That's a long name. Gary. Now, fix me on this one.
It's Shinovich.
Shinovich. Okay, new attitude. A lot of these guys I don't see a lot, so trying to spell it out. Tony Seitzmer on Wolverine.
Yeah, Satsima. Yeah. Lee Butts, Wayne Lemrow, Fear the Deer, Steve Yagi coming in 10th place. So when you start talking about Super Farm and track position and hook order, becomes really not predictive, is really an issue, because the bowl of rules that we are stuck in is so tight in Super Farm. Every horsepower counts. So Steve coming off 10th, and holy smokes, I think he's got great hook position. But let's look at what Tony Keefe going in 11th, the Hooterville Hustler. Dan Schulte, the Binder Express, coming on very hard this season. Very hard. Brad Hart, Don't Ask. John Silsby, Crop Doctor, coming off 15th. Greg Freeze, tough tractor, great deer tracks. And then Stan Warder and that Hammer and Hank, who dominated that region, the region out here throughout Ohio for a few years, has really got a nice piece going as well. Pick your two. Come on.
Let's go with
ahead.
it.
You take them. Low-hanging fruit. Go ahead and take them. I don't mind. You know who you're going to take.
You know what? I know who I'm going to take. I'm going to go with Dan Schultz, and I'm going to go with John Silsby.
Two good picks. I'm going to take the low-hanging fruit because you left it out there. I'm going with Ryan, and then I saw that Gary went to a couple local fairs, and Gary is running hot to trot as well. So if I'm going for the win on this one, that's my two longest distance, my two full pull picks. Could somebody load that for me? Could somebody mark that somewhere? All right, let's kick on down the road. 7:34, Meade County Fair, session 1. So we're talking about the first session, pro stock lineups. Rhett Parrish on an El Nino, Danny Schmucker on the Rampage, Rob Russell and Workhorse. We saw Rob had some great hook there and back in Chapel Hill a week ago. Julia Ray, Mac Daddy won that woman some money. Peter Norton on Money on Black, Brandon Simon, Loud and Heavy, Jason Sanovic, and Bootlegger, Grayson Shelton on the Cutting Edge Pro. They have some kinks to work out. I really expect a lot from them later this season, maybe, but I haven't seen it yet, and I expect to. Brent Meyer, obviously, Injected Funds, Brandon Schrammick and Youngblood, Kevin Schmucker and Get Her Done Deer, Avery Newman, Little Rascal, Reese Shelton on the Cutting It Down, same scenario. I expect big things from them. I expect them to run. Oh, I flipped the wrong button, but now I got it. I expect them to run very hard. We go into Robbie Lemke, New Generation Plus, Jack Mays and the Billet Binder, Mike Connie and the McNasty, Chance McGrath, Last Chance 2. We saw Chance had some issues back in Chapel Hill a week ago. He said he would get those solved, and he was adamant about that. Brandon Simon, Loud and Heavy, Timmy Kane, Red Gambler. And when I think of what the Lemke stable has going on, they have, in no uncertain terms, told me they have found something and they are a contender. Like, I'm going to say this. They said they found something. I'm going to say they are a contender. If we're talking about someone to break up the quid pro quo right now. The tractors coming out of the Lemke stables in that class have got something going on, and I'm excited to watch them drive back into the top. We saw last week with Timmy Kane and his run and put it out there, and they reset the sled. He couldn't come back due to a parts failure. But we saw the other guy who was 4 feet shorter than him come back and win the class. So when you think if Timmy could have come back, we all live by that sword, die by that sword. It's double-sided. I get it, but Timmy's got a piece, and the Lemke stable has found something. So that's where I'm at on it. I'm going to go Tim Kane and the other Lemke track. I'm going to go with Robbie on that seat. What's yours?
I'm going to go with either one of the Mac tractors, Mac Nasty or Mac Daddy. But for my second one, you know what? I'm going to throw one in there. I'm going to have to say, let's go with Grayson Shelton on this. I think it's about time for them to pop up and surprise us a little bit, and because they're working hard on it. I know
agree.
that.
Like you can see it. You can see it in their determination as they come to the line. Somehow, they're just not stacking it up right yet. But I see it, and I saw the way that Colin got in with them as they came to the line last week. You could see the communication and the discussions.
Yep,
they're
stepping up. Their day's coming. It's just waiting for that day.
All right. Now, impress me once, impress me twice. The lineups for the 2-wheel drives is another one of them barn burners.
A bunch.
Yeah.
A bunch.
35.
Oh, man. Wow.
Yeah. Okay. I'll do the first half of the list. You'll hit the second. Is that all right, Bert?
Sounds good to me.
Joey Frazier, Liberty, Indiana. Come around sundown. First hook of first session Meade County Fair. I got to apologize. Where is the Meade County Fair? What state is that? I don't know. I never knew. You know, you just get used to calling them names.
Kentucky.
Oh my goodness. Because now I thought I was going to have to Google it, but literally all my Googlers are full for data right now for the show. So Joey Frazier, Liberty, Indiana, come around sundown. Brandon Simon, second hook, the Dirty Pearl, Farley, Iowa. Jonathan Payne, Rampage, Mason Theobald, and the Wicked. I think that Mason, you know, he hasn't had a chance to get many hooks in this season, and I think that Theobalds, I watched Doug and I watched Renee and Grant and them put together a plan, and I think as a team, as a family, they do very well to make hit the nuts and bolts. Coming up in the 5th position, Jason Sullivan, Corn Burner. 6th position, Marty Clock, just like clockwork. Alan Kane coming off a per hook in the Dark Horse. Daryl Norman out of Athens, Alabama, and the Untouchable, Tom LaRue, Think Tank. Ethan Foster, Crosswire. Chase Richardson's going to be driving the Suffered Insanity, that 2-wheel drive. And then Kelly Nichols on the one Fine Edge. Brandon Simon in the second vehicle. Simon says Dodge. Then David Skinner in the Roadkill out of Georgetown, Kentucky. Then we're getting Donnie Sullivan out of Warsaw, Kentucky in the Big Stick, coming off 16th of this class. So we are not even halfway. Chad Haggerty, Hillbilly Hot Rod. Then Jesse Petro, the consummate professional in the 2-wheel drivers in the Buckeye Hauler. Nathan Faust in Hang Time. Then David Hunt, 19th hook, Shameless. Then Jim Corey in the Midnight Obsession, coming in 20th. Bert, I just had a brainstorm. It's a terrible idea, but I want to say it anyway.
What's that?
What if you split this class in half and 2-wheel drivers on one track and 2-wheel drivers on another track, take the top 5 from both, and then they make a finals.
Whew. That'd be a good show, though. That'd be a good show, yeah.
It's like heat racing then, right? And I'm not saying we finally, as poolers, get a practice, just like the No Practice podcast that, you know, it's not, I'm not saying it's a practice. You still got to qualify your way in, but man, wouldn't that be a something? All right. 21st. Take it away, Bert.
All right. Alan Kane on Mad Max. Tyler Corza on Out of the Blue. Wesley Foster on Barbed Wire. Russ Nichols on the Edge. Brandon Simon on the Simon Says Chevy. Leanne May on Thriller. Tom LaRue on Diamonds and Dirt. Brett Seacrest on Nothing Easy About It. Tom Beatty on Sawmill Express. Jacob Shepard on Alcohol Addiction Retapped. Andy Skinner on Road Rage, Jesse Petro on Kathy's Complaint, Carrie Unger on Overtime 2, Seaver Perry on Dirty Deeds, and John Hunt on Taz. Who's your pick?
Oh my gosh, it's a stacked field, right? So I'm gonna go with Jess. If am I playing the heartstrings or am I like wanting to win? So this is, I think, why my full pool picks always needs reloaded at this portion.
Right.
We're not just quite halfway through the season, and we only have about 4 more minutes left in this show. I'm gonna go with I like Kentucky, so I'm gonna go Donnie Sullivan in a big kick, and I want Jesse Petro, and I'm gonna go Buckeye Holler out of Ohio.
I'm gonna throw a couple out here that I'm an underdog person. Let's go with Tyler Corza, and let's go with Tom LaRue. That's gonna be my picks.
Yeah. Hey, I just found like an old name tag I used to have. Is that obnoxious or what? Look at the size of that thing.
That looks like a game show name tag. Were you on some kind of game show or something?
It absolutely was. We should do game shows to introduce our poolers. That is a thing. I got to say, the few days I've been home, I've been exploring options of how we can grow our sport and what we can do to emphasize it. But it also takes the poolers who are watching this show tonight to see where they're in their lineups in this Weigh-In Wednesday show to participate. And I think we had some great sit-down interviews. We'll have some great content coming out on the site coming up. Stay tuned. We have an 8 p.m. show as well. There's the No Practice podcast. We're at 7:42. We were told we're off air at 7:45. How would you wrap up this show, Bert?
If you're within 2 hours of either one of these pools, Brandenburg, Kentucky, or Fort Recovery, Ohio, take you a little road trip. The weather's going to be perfect in Fort Recovery, no doubt about it. So take your road trip. Go get you some elephant ears. I said that I was told by several pullers you got to have the elephant ears at Fort Recovery. So that's my game plan. I'm going to go watch some tractor pulling and get to meet some more pullers and watch some pulling. 3 hours away. Take your little road trip. Weather's going to be perfect. It's not going to be hot and humid like it is in my house right now. It's 90 degrees in here. So, I'm looking for somewhere cooler to go.
Gotcha. That's exciting to hear. So we're here, in a full pool live. You'll be able to tune in the live stream. The live stream is still available to you all season long. You can buy the monthly pass, get you access to everything, get you access to the archive, meaning
right. You can go back and look at everything.
Now, you might as well buy it now, and you have everything you may have missed.
Look, $39.99. You can't miss out on that. You'll see more pulling. My daughter the other night, I was like, what do you want to watch? She goes, tractor pulling, Daddy. So you know what we sit there and watch pulling. So
absolutely. My daughter was out doing her 4-H letter tonight, like going to different businesses and asking those businesses to be part. And she literally was texting me from the old lady's phone saying, Daddy, when does your show start? I want to know how the lineups are going to stack. What do you think that track's going to do? And I was like, I don't know enough about it yet. I guess we're going to learn this weekend when we watch it. We can watch it together. But I'm excited for both shows, NTPAs in two different locations this weekend. All Grand National hooks, Fort Recovery, Ohio, and Brandenburg, Kentucky, and the Meade County Fair. Great value for the dollar in that $39.99 watching all these shows. Because you know what? I wonder if you can dual screen. Bert, you and I sit beside each other. You log in for Brandenburg. You log in, for the Meade County Fair.
Yeah.
I'll log in for Fort Recovery, and we'll sit both of them side by side.
Yeah, why not? Let's do it.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
The problem would be like, tell them to be quiet. We want to hear what the distance was over here. Oh, wait, tell them to be quiet. We want to see the replay.
That's right. Well, look, don't forget, join us in No Practice Podcast. That's going to be coming on in about 15 minutes. Joe Etter is going to be on that one. And that guy has been around pulling forever. I grew up watching this guy. He's even come down south a few times. He's got an interesting story because, a lot of these pullers start out from, and you get to follow that if you go and watch it on Full Pull. I mean, you can watch his story about how he got up and pulling. And it takes a family, and that's what this sport is. So
absolutely. So you'll be able to find that on Driver Chats. We're going to add more of those in as the season goes on for content for you guys to be a part of. Thanks for joining us on the Weigh-In Wednesday. Sorry, I came in a little bit wound up and hot, but I'm salivating at the lineups. 35 two-wheel drivers. Woo! All right, Bert. Have a
Hey,
great one. Thank you.
see y'all in
Logo.
full recovery.
Thank
Come
you,
by and say
Allison.
hey.
We appreciate your technical help and support. Have a great guys, and we'll see you next time for next week's Weigh-In Wednesday.
Greatest motorsport on Earth. Introducing Full Pull Live, your front row seat to all the action. Don't miss our next NTPA national event, the Fort Recovery Grand Nationals, July 26th and 27th from Fort Recovery, Ohio. Sign up at the brand new low price of $39.99 a month. Full Pull Live, the greatest motorsport on